Welcome to PV Online Physics, and we're going to look at another example of free fall. Free fall is one where you have to really pay close attention to signs. So let's go ahead and take a look at this one. We have a diver that's on top of a cliff, and he's going to jump up. So he's going to jump up, so that's going to be our initial velocity. He's on top of a 100-meter cliff, so this is my displacement. Remember, with displacement, I don't care the path that you take. All that we care about is that he started on the top of the cliff and he ended down below here in the water. All right, so we've got our displacement's 100 meters. He begins his dive by jumping up with 5 meters per second. So my initial velocity is going to be 5 meters per second. Since it's going up, I'm going to call that a positive 5. Now my displacement, since I start here and I go down, do you see how my arrow is going in the opposite direction? And the way we reflect that is with a negative sign. So that's going to be negative 100. And I want to know how fast will he be moving when he hits the water. So let's list our variables. We've got our initial velocity is 5 meters per second. We have our displacement is negative 100 meters. And we know that gravity is acting on it down, so it's at negative 9.8 meters per second squared. And we're trying to find out how fast he's moving when he hits the water. Not after he stops, but just as he hits the water. So we're looking for the final velocity. So that's our big question mark. So now let's take a look at this first equation, And that one's not going to work for us because I don't have t. So let's look at the second equation. I'm not going to use that because it doesn't have v final in it, and I don't have t. So hopefully this third equation will work. So I'm looking for v final, which is good. I have initial velocity, I have g, I have d. Third equation's our choice. So we use v final squared equals my initial velocity squared plus 2g times my displacement. All right, my final velocity squared is going to be my initial velocity squared, which is 5 squared. It was positive 5, plus 2 times gravity's acting down, so that's negative 9.8. My displacement is down, so that's negative 100. And what are you going to get when you multiply a negative times a negative? So let's throw this in our calculator and see what we get. All right, so I throw in 5 squared plus 2 times 9.8 times 100. I'm adding it because those two negative signs cancel out. That's going to be 1,985. That's important that's positive because I wouldn't be able to solve it, the square root, if it wasn't. So I do my v final. I take the square root of that. And I get, how about 44.6? So 44.6 meters per second. Now we know that the diver is going down, so that means my final velocity is actually going to be negative. So I need to throw that negative sign in there. All right, now we're ready to take a look at part B. And in part B, it says, how long will it take him? So now I'm looking for time. I want to know the time. And so let's take a look at this. I've got the final velocity. We just calculated that. I've got the initial velocity. I've got gravity. I'm looking for time. Let's just go ahead and use that top equation. So I've got the final velocity equals the initial velocity plus g times time. My final velocity, I said, was negative 44.6. The initial velocity is 5 plus negative 9.8 times t. The first thing we need to do is we need to subtract 5 from both sides. And when I do that, I'm actually going to get negative 49.6. So I get negative 49.6, and that's going to equal negative 9.8 times t. And the negative signs will cancel out, and so I'm going to divide both sides by negative 9.8, and I get a time of 5.06 seconds. So we've paid close attention to direction. Direction's huge. make sure you do little sketches, and any arrow going up will be positive, any arrow going down will be negative. Remember, no matter what you're doing, gravity acts down. Gravity is going to be a negative 9.8. It's always pulling down on you. Even as you're jumping up, gravity is pulling you down. All right, you should be able to finish these problems. Good luck.